What about a zero-carbon community? What about a zero-carbon community right in the city of Kitchener? What would it look like? How would it work? Well, Jill Simpson might be able to tell us a thing or two about that. Jill, good morning.
Good morning.
Can you tell us about To Thrive Together?
Sure, I can. Simply put, To Thrive Together, sustainable living is our actual name. And to put it simply, it's a vision for a new way of living on the planet that is combined with an old way of taking care of one another. We're a not-for-profit organization, and our mandate is to create small, multi-generational communities that are focused on green, sustainable living and that concept of neighbor helping neighbor, based on the scientific fact that people lead healthier, happier, more meaningful lives when they're surrounded by a support network of varying ages and backgrounds.
So how could we create such green housing, a zero-carbon community right in the city of Kitchener? How would we achieve that?
Well, actually, we're not building within the city of Kitchener. We're building 12 minutes outside of Kitchener and Waterloo in the little, we'll call it a hamlet of Bloomingdale. We've got 9 acres on the river there. And what happened was a group of green building experts across the country were brought together, and they have donated 100% of their time to build a model community, because you have the greatest impact in making change by just doing something concrete rather than just having conferences about it. So we're building our first pilot project. We're hoping to build across Canada a dozen or 10 to 12 small model communities. Our first pilot project just happens to be outside of KW.
Thank you for that clarification, too. I'm embarrassed to say, Jill, I was getting my Bridgeport and my Bloomingdale mixed up. I know they abut one another, but my goodness. So, yes. So, technically, I guess Woolwich Township, then.
Woolwich Township.
Right. Okay. So how does the township factor into this in terms of what you want to do and what you'll have to go through with the township in order to make it a reality? Well,
like any development, you have to go through the processes, and the processes are there for a reason. I would say that the township has been very supportive. We are just applying for our just the starting point of the zone change. It's a minor. It's actually a downgrading because it's not agricultural land. The land doesn't require a major zone change. It's just a minor change, which is good. We have to have various permits and studies, and just like everybody else does, and we're just working our way through that process. We're hoping to be in the ground, talking to the CAO of the township. His estimate is like 9 months.
Who is eligible to live in such a community? Is it open to anyone?
Well, yes, it is. It is. The focus is on multi-generational living. And unlike our current tendency in North America to segregate and isolate older adults in separate communities or special aging facilities, we've designed homes that are totally barrier-free, so they can potentially be a home for life. And we've designed them in a way that would be appealing for millennials right through centenarians, so that we use the architecture and small-scale urban design to create and foster intergenerational relationships.
What are the benefits that you have learned, Jill, of this multi-generational living?
Well, there are studies around the world that show that a traditional community where young people are exposed to elders, and elders have a role in young people's lives, are the healthiest ways to age. And I think it has to do with a sense of purpose. We hear people retire and it's like they become discarded. Where in other cultures, they don't have a word for retirement. Life just goes on. Right? So we want to. The Blue Zone study showed that having a strong sense of purpose throughout life and a strong sense of community added a good 7 quality years to life, right? Which is almost 10% of the average lifespan. So that's the benefit. And for young people, we're not always living in the same place as our parents or our grandparents. We're spread out around the world sometimes. So young people have a chance to learn from elders, knowledge and skills that they don't have. Elders have a chance to learn knowledge and skills they don't have from younger people. And everybody can work to support one another so that older people can age in place with dignity and purpose.
When we talk about a zero carbon community, how would that be achieved? Would we expect solar panels? How do we manage wastewater, things like that?
Yeah, absolutely. Just want to clarify, because zero carbon is a term thrown around in the building industry. Zero carbon ready is the term, which is sort of like having a kitchen that is appliance ready. It has plugs, right? So we want to make sure that people realize we're not zero carbon ready. We are zero carbon from day one. And to achieve that, our designers, our community designers, we're using solar for our electricity. We're banking that solar energy. So we have an EV. We're working with a car share program so that as people age or their cars age, they don't necessarily have to own a car. They can be part of a car share. We're using existing EVs to bank energy that we produce. Our heating and cooling both come from a geo-exchange system. Some people would know an older version called geothermal. You're banking, you're storing heat in the summer in the earth. You're drawing the heat off from the earth in the winter to heat your homes. And we have an on-site wastewater system and well system that literally, unlike using the ground where you process sewage essentially in the ground, this pre-processes it and only puts purified water into the ground. So the safer, it actually meets the world's highest standard for wastewater treatment. So it's a whole package. It's how we're going to have to live if we're going to survive on the planet.
You mentioned earlier, Jill, 9 acres, was it, is the size?
9 acres.
9 acres. So yep. How many homes, how many people will we be able to house on this site? Well, there are, because of the restrictions of the land, there will be 32 homes. There and a community building. So the community building is devoted to intergenerational programming and demonstrating how you build zero carbon and can live sustainably. But there are only 32 homes. This sounds a little bit like what we'd be accustomed to hearing around a condominium complex. Is that kind of the idea here? Yes, it is. We're co-housing in spirit, we're cooperative in philosophy, but legally, a condominium protects those people who are buying a home far better than anything else because it is so tightly regulated by the government. So it is the best thing, and it's also the best thing for young people because if you're young and you're looking to buy a home, you're going to need a mortgage likely. And getting a mortgage for co-housing or something is very difficult. A condominium makes that so much easier for young people to do. What inspired you to try such an idea in Bloomingdale? Oh, that was just our architect and engineer, and who is also my husband, had a client about 15 years ago, and she was the head of a charity. And the charity was going to build on that land. And he had done a lot of work for her. They reconnected, and she was telling him that she was going to the charity was going to sell the land. And he was like, well, we're looking for a piece of property. And she had held the land for
14 years fending off developers who wanted to build like giant starter castle homes on the property, and waited for somebody to come along whose philosophy aligned with the charities.
It's very...
It was just the synchronicity and a meant to be.
I was going to say, the stars sound like they aligned there as well.
Absolutely.
If anyone has their interest piqued through this conversation this morning, Jill, and you mentioned if all goes according to plan, at sometime next year you'll be able to break ground. Where can they find more information about this sustainable community right on the border of Kitchener?
Well, the easiest way is just to go to our website. So you can Google To Thrive Together. Our address is, our email, our website is tothrivetogether.org, org.org. And the two is just spelled T-O, right? Not a number, To Thrive Together. We also have, you can get involved as, you don't have to be buying a home in the community to get involved. We have all sorts of projects. We're clearing out the existing forest of all the invasive species, replanting indigenous species right now. And next year we're building a small microforest, just a bit bigger than a tennis court, where we'll be planting 1,000 trees. And we need volunteers for all these different projects. This Wednesday, on November 3rd, we're having a virtual, it's a social evening. You can just email us and ask for a free pass, where it's just a chat and get to know each other. And then on December the 1st, we're having a virtual information night. And all you have to do to get on our interest list, or what other people might call a waiting list for a home, or to go to any event, is email info@tothrivetogether.org. And if you go to our website, you can sign up for our newsletter.
Do you have a target price range for the homes in the community once it's built?
Yes, we do. Our target is around $650. The homes, but you are also buying 1/32 of those 9 acres, and those will remain green forever. No one is going to build a high rise next to you. Right? Nobody's going to develop next to you, though that space is there forever. So we're hoping to be around $650, which sounds like it used to sound crazy, but now it sounds reasonable.
Yeah, it does.
But for the quality of the home, they're allergen-free, 4-inch thick solid wood walls, ceilings. It's just so we sequester carbon within the building products themselves. So we need these beautiful exposed wood walls and ceilings throughout, and as environmentally safe interior as exterior. So you're buying a top quality home. It's only about 815 square feet on the main floor, with a loft that can convert to a caregiver suite. But all the homes are barrier free.
It is a fascinating model. Jill, really appreciate you taking the time to explain it to us on the show this morning. Thanks for being here.
Yeah, thanks for asking.
Jill Simpson.
Take care.
You too. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Jill Simpson is the president and executive director of To Thrive Together, Sustainable Living. When I first read their story, it definitely piqued my interest, so why not have a conversation about it here on the show? Again, if I just read straight from their mission, To Thrive Together creates sustainable, multi-generational communities which foster social and environmental responsibility. We invite younger and older generations alike to invest in their personal well-being, the well-being of neighbors, and of the planet. One of the founding principles of To Thrive Together is to lead by example, educating the public about the principles of sustainable building and a healthy living. And right here on the border of Kitchener. Basically, if you step out of Bridgeport, you're into Bloomingdale, and that's where this is going to be built. You want more information and you want to see a little bit of it for yourself, just visit tothrivetogether.org, T-O, tothrivetogether.org. This is the Mike Farwell Show on City News 570 and Rogers TV.